Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna and this is For Pause in a Book. I make book and lifestyle related content, so if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below. Today we're going to do a little bit of a chatty video. We're going to talk about some anticipated releases that are coming up in the second quarter of the year. Alright, so I like to do my anticipated releases based on fiscal quarters. So quarter 1 was January, February, March, and quarter 2 was April, May, June. That's just how my brain works. So that's how we are doing these things. So April, May, and June is definitely going to be very contemporary heavy, very romance heavy. There are some thrillers in here, but there's not a lot of fantasy. One fantasy, which is kind of the exact same thing that we saw last year as well. It was definitely like romance heavy, and then we kind of get more fantasy heavy as we go later into the year. Not sure if that's like a general thing in publishing or just a trend that I've noticed over the past couple of years, but with that being said, I actually have a couple of physical arcs that I get to talk about, which is really cool. I don't ever get that. It's all e-arcs. But here are some anticipated releases or books that I have arcs of that I am excited for. We'll start with our April releases. The first one is Some Desperate Glory by Emily Tesh. This is actually a book that I'm reading for Tor.comathon towards the end of the month. And this comes out on April 11th. This is a dystopian Handmaid's Tale meets the Hunger Games kind of thing. Basically, this character is training to avenge the murder of planet Earth. Sounds interesting. Definitely science fiction, but women are taken to the nursery to bear children, specifically sons, but she would rather be a warrior. So this sounds really interesting and I'm really excited to read this one. The next one that I'm really excited about is Sizzle Reel by Carolyn Greenwald, and this is actually Carolyn's debut novel. She does have a collection or a installation in a short story anthology. But as far as full-length novel, this is her debut and I'm really excited about it. It is sort of new adult, contemporary, it's queer. It's about a girl who comes out as bisexual at 24, and that is very much my story, and so I'm very excited to see this and to be able to see that representation in it. You see a lot of YA novels where they're coming out as queer, and that's great representation and definitely something that's needed, but we don't see as much about adults that are coming out as queer, and so that's something that I am really excited about. The main character is also trying to become a cinematographer, so she is in Hollywood, and she has a very misogynistic boss that she's trying to deal with, and then she meets an actress, and so I think there might be a little bit of a celebrity romance involved, but the synopsis makes it seem that it's very much more of a coming of age story and a discovering herself kind of story, with the romance being the subplot. So I am really excited about this one, despite it being a debut and not knowing anything about this author before. I'm putting my faith in her, so we'll see what happens. Also coming out on April 18th is The Fiance farce by Alexandra Bellafiore. Now this is also the Not Your Mom's Boozy Book Club pick for April, so I will definitely be reading this one very quickly in the month as soon as it comes out. The Fiance farce is a sapphic rom-com that has a marriage of convenience trope, which is, when done well, one of my favorite tropes. So this is about a bookseller who creates this fake girlfriend based on the cover of a romance novel. So she invents this entire fake girlfriend, and then the said cover of the book is also needing a fake fiance so that she can get her inheritance. She's like the outcast of the family. And it sounds like it's going to be a hoot, and I am here for this. I really, really liked Written in the Stars, so this is definitely a book that I have high hopes for. Next up, another book that I have physically, and that is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I absolutely love No Exit. It is one of my favorite thriller/horrors of all time. Really. I don't really know if it's a thriller or a horror. It definitely has some scary elements, but definitely toes that line. And this is his newest book that comes out on April 25th. And this book is about a woman who lives in a very, secluded place in, I think, the Washington coast. And she reads a novel and doesn't like it, right? So she posts a 1-star review, and that author doesn't like it. And, we always talk about how authors shouldn't be in reviewer spaces, and this is probably why. After posting a negative book review, a woman living in a remote location begins to wonder if the author is a little touchy or very, very dangerous. If this is anything like No Exit, I feel like it's going to be amazing. I didn't actually read his other one, Hairpin Bridge, because I heard not so great things about it, but I'm really excited about this one. So this one comes out on April 25th. Moving on to our May releases, the first one is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Now this is something that's very, very different than anything she has ever written. It's definitely different than the Poppy War, but I would say that it's even different than Babel. There is no fantasy element to this. This is a pure contemporary novel, and so I'm really, really interested to see how she does with this. It sounds fascinating. This book is about June and Athena, and they were both colleagues at Yale. They both got published the same year in their debut. Their debut novels came out the same year, and Athena's book became like a sensation. She became bestseller, all of the accolades, right? And then June did not. She did not even get a paperback release, so it did not go well. And then Athena is in a freak accident, and June witnesses this death, and she takes Athena's next manuscript and basically turns it into her own under a pseudonym name, and basically takes the accolades from that. This is definitely going to be a conversation about the publishing industry, about racism, about cultural appropriation, and all of those nuanced conversations within the publishing industry. And so this is actually one that I am really, really excited about. However, I hate this cover. It's so bright. It's so yellow. Also coming out on May 16th is the only YA book that's on this list, and that is Court of the Undying Seasons by A.M. Strickland. I read In the Ravenous Dark a couple of years ago, or maybe it was last year, I don't remember, but I loved it. That book was fantastic. It was so dark, it was so queer, and it was just wonderful. It's a great like fantasy horror book, and I am really excited about this one that's coming out as well. So this is about vampires. We all love a vampire book, right? Essentially what happens is these people are taken to this like vampire school, and if you succeed, you become a vampire, and if you don't, you die, kind of thing going on. Our main character is decided she wants neither of those options, and so she is trying to figure out how to kill the undead and get revenge for her mother, who was taken years and years ago. I am fully expecting this to be just as queer as In the Ravenous Dark was. I'm expecting it to be just as dark and horrific, and it's a book that I'm very, very excited about. And just as a sneak peek, it's not officially announced or anything, but this will also be a Not Your Mom's Boozy Book Club pick. That seems like a safe choice because Cal and I both loved In the Ravenous Dark, so this will be one of the months coming up. Stay tuned for that. And then coming out on May 23rd is Love at First Set by Jennifer Dugan. This is a book I have never read from this author before. It's her adult debut, which she's written YA books before, and the blurb is like for fans of Delilah Green, which you know we love that. And this is about a woman who is a trainer, like a personal trainer at the gym. It's her passion, it's her life. And then she gets roped into being a +1 at a wedding, or like her friend is going to a wedding, and so she has to be a +1. And she ends up giving this like drunken pep talk to the woman in a bathroom, just, you know, hyping her up, telling her that she doesn't need a man, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, that woman was the bride, and she runs away from her wedding. It seems like it's gonna be a big mess, but so basically our main character has to like fake date the bride to like, you know, pretend like it's a fling or something like that before she rights her wrongs and goes back to her fiance, whatever. But then they're gonna start falling for each other. So it's fake dating, kind of like fake dating to friends to lovers kind of thing. Seems like it'll be right up my alley. It sounds like it's gonna be a hot mess and absolutely insane, but also a fun time. Finally, we have The Only One Left by Riley Sager. And here's the thing. Riley Sager continues to do me dirty, and yet I continue to put his books on this list. I don't know why, but here we are again. This is a gothic thriller, and I think it's gonna have two timelines, one from 1929 and one from 1983, and it is about this young caregiver who has been assigned to go to this gothic mansion and care for this old aging woman who was accused of like a Lizzie Borden type massacre way back when, you know, back in 1929. So I think that's why it's gonna have two timelines. I'm really hoping that we don't go paranormal with this one. I'm really, really hoping, because as we learned in The House Across the Pond. Yeah, that one. He didn't do that well. So I'm really hoping we just, like, you know, we stick to what we know and do it well. We'll see. I'm giving him another chance. Again, with a cover, though, that I just don't like. So that's fun. Those are some of the books that I'm excited for in quarter 2. I'm sure that I've missed some. I think I was looking on my list, but I'm sure that I forgot some. So let me know down in the comments below what you are excited for the April, May, June months. And I'll talk to you in the comments down below. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little red button that you can do so down below the video. If you'd like to hang out with me more, the links to my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and my Patreon are linked in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.